Still working on windows, working around the house now. I'm into the library. I have 4 windows on the front. Let's take a look at that in the 3D view. This is one of the nice features of Revit. So we can see well, one of the thousands of great features of Revit, but we can see exactly what we have as we do it. As I change that window here, it will change it every place else at the same time, which is a much nicer feature than AutoCAD, because if in AutoCAD, if I had put a window in floor plan and then had to change it at some time, I would need to go back to the elevations and the sections and any place else that that window appeared and actually remember to change it. And if I didn't change it and the plans went out with a discrepancy like that, I can assure you that I would get a phone call from the contractor, and his question or her question or their question would be, you know, you're telling me 2 different stories. In one sheet, you're telling me the window should be this size, and the other sheet, you're telling me the window should be that size. Which is it? And it doesn't matter what my answer is, the contractor will always say, well, I didn't bid it that way. It's going to be an extra. So this is really nice because Revit makes that change everywhere. And I think that there's a little side note there. I think that Revit, so I think their tagline should be Revit changes everything, because it does, in fact, you know, changes the way we all, as architects, we all are doing our construction documents now, and it also applies to the way that it changes. When you change it one place, it changes it everywhere. So let's take a look at this window. First of all, it's very narrow, and if I make each panel of this glass approximately 2 feet wide, then I would have that to be 8 feet wide. So I'm going to edit this window, and I'm going to duplicate it, and instead of being 5 feet wide, I'll start out with 8 feet wide, get rid of the 2, and let's just see how that looks. Say okay to that. Didn't really make much of a difference. Edit this. I forgot to change the width here. So if I change it down here now, 8 feet wide, and click on that, maybe 8 feet isn't enough. I think it is, because it's always nice to have a little bit of wall on both sides. So now how tall do I want to make it? Let's make that 6 feet tall. So again, I'm going to edit I've already changed it. I'm just going to rename it now so that it's 8 feet wide by 6 feet. I'm not going to duplicate it because I've already started to change it. And now the height is going to be 6 feet. So I'll change that to 6 feet and say okay. Now it's starting to look better. Proof will be once we see it. Because I spoke a little earlier, or a little too early there. So yeah, that looks good. And then we want the top of that window to be at 7 feet. And that looks good. Now let's go back to, what can I do? How can I see that window over here? I'm going to use that create similar. So I'll just go to this view, and I'm going to look for my awning window. I'll click on it, create similar, and then I'll come over here and just click on this wall, and it should put it in. Yeah, it sure did. Okay. So now we have that transom in there. This is the south elevation. So I'm going to go, I've changed the names of these elevations, so it's really the front elevation. So we can go to the front elevation and take a look at it. I need to expand my crop region so I can see. And I'm just going to look at it in an elevation view, just to kind of, I'm having trouble grabbing that grip. Is that sections in there? Maybe I got it this time. No, so I'm going to zoom in even closer. Click on that there. I think let's see if I can get it this time. Nope. All right, so I can't get it because this guy seems to be in the way. So I'll just drag him over and then I'll click on it. Now it should grab that grip. Feels like it's doing it. Yeah, okay, so now I can see the whole front elevation. So this was 8 feet wide. So let's change this. We'll edit the type. We'll duplicate it and we'll call it 8 feet wide. So I'll just write 8 feet in there. And instead of changing the width to 8 feet, I'm going to change it to 7 feet 11 and a half because I think there's a ½ inch difference there. And let's see what happens when we do that. All right, now I'm going to use the front elevation to align. So I'll come over here and align this guy. Always a good idea to save the project. You'll never be sorry that you did, but you might at one point or another be sorry that you didn't. So I can see there's no brick ledge on this window right now, so I can tell that that's in backwards. So I'll click the space bar and that'll make the brick ledge, should have made the brick ledge visible, but look at that, it didn't. So I'll flip it again, hit the space bar. I'm still not seeing the brick ledge or the brick mold. So let's center it. Let's align it by I wanted to line the outside face of the brick ledge, but I didn't see it. There should be a center line here to snap to. Doesn't seem to be giving me that option, does it? Let's see. Let's see any way that that's lined up. So these should line up. Let's see. I click on this and this. It seemed to be wide enough. Well, I'll have to measure it now. I made some assumptions. Well, I'm still not certain about where the window is, so I'm going to go to this view in section just to make sure that the brick mold is on the outside, and yes, it is. Here's an issue. Look at that. This particular window hasn't had that offset on it yet, so we can modify that real quickly. So we want the window set back into the wall by 4 inches. It's not installed flush with the brick, it's installed flush with the wall. So that might make things a little bit easier for me. Let's see what happens. And yeah, okay. So that is where the brick ledge would be installed. It would be the brick mold would be right up against the rigid insulation. And the brick would really stop at the top of the brick mold and the edge of the brick mold. And that's another thing I told Kobe. So when you're using the brick mold, their Revit families don't actually move the brick to the edge of the brick mold. It still stays right there. You can see the brick is still right there, and that's not in the right spot. But I'm not gonna spend a whole lot of time worrying about that. So let's see now, if I try to line up this guy with this guy, how does this one look? Yeah, that looks pretty good. Yep, that's close enough for me. All right, so now I just need to bring it down by using the align command again. That looks good too. And that's what the outside looks like. And maybe I could make those transoms a little bit higher in height, because it's kind of skinny there. But I think we'll leave it the way it is. Looks pretty good there. And I'd already centered that window. So when I put my dimension in here, from here to here, and then to the midpoint, watch it snap. So there, it is definitely centered in there. So I've got the library window in, and I'm going to delete this one. And I'll just copy this guy. What did I delete? I deleted the wrong one. Oh, no, maybe not. I'm going to delete this guy and just copy these. Now, this may not work because it's on a different plane, but let's see if we can copy that from there over to here. Yeah, it's a different plane, so it's not going to let me do that. So I'll use the create similar. And then it will let me do that. I'm going to put one here, and I'm going to put one over here. And then I'll, again, use that create similar. So I've already went to the trouble of making it once, and I don't need to do it again. Unless I was getting paid by the hour, I wouldn't do it differently. And it's only because in the planes are different. See, the window's in a wall that's way out here, and I was trying to copy it over here, and Revit didn't realize that the planes were, or did realize that the planes were different and wouldn't allow me to do that. So all that's left, escape. I don't want to put any more in. Let's see if it'll allow me to pick the center line this time. You know, it's still not letting me pick the center line, so I'll just align with here and here, and then I'll come down and align from here to here. And then I'll come over and actually I want to make sure the heights are right. Should be 7 feet. And the same thing over here, the height should be 7 feet. So got a little bit ahead of myself here. I'm saying the height of the window. So now I can align the top of that window to the bottom of that one, or the bottom of that window to the top of that one. And do the same thing over here. This is the top of the window, and that's the bottom of it. So they're aligned that way. Side to side, they're aligned too, but maybe if I were to go take a look at the floor plan, I would see that they're not, yeah, they're no longer centered in that room. So certainly didn't do the placement of these windows correctly in the order that they should be placed in. So you can see that they're way off. So it's going to move the bottom window, but it's not going to move the top window. So again, I'm going to have to align those. And here's, I can come down here and notice how it aligns right up with that. So how do I get, well, it's not equal. So I'm going to have to delete that. I didn't do the equal, and so I didn't get my window moved over correctly. And we'll come over here. I want to snap, not to that row, but to that row, and say equal. Equal. Well, what's going on here? It looks like there might be 2 windows in there. No, that's okay. Now, I think, oh, I'll just delete it. All right, but that's good. Now you can see that I have to align these again. So that's what I'm saying. I did it out of order. I really, the sequence should have been that I make sure that the window's in the right location dimensionally first, and then put the window in, you know, align the transom with the other window, align the transom with the window below it. And looks good. It looks like it needs to be a little bit lower here. Okay, how's this look? That looks okay. So now let's see what we did by just looking in 3D. So now it's starting to take a little bit more shape, interesting shape. So I put in my office window. It happens to be the same window that I want to put in the dining room, and the same window that I want to put on the front of the garage wall here. So I just copied all 3 over to save a little bit of time and effort. So we'll stop here and let you work on your windows in the front of the house.